deep problems in India, like which are impediments to, making citizens' lives better. So while India is becoming prosperous, our life is not becoming as prosperous as it should have with the financial growth that we've seen in the country, right? So citizens are not really at the center of this development. It is just happening, just like everything in India, it's happening by accident and less by design. And that's something that we wanted to fix. So urban governance is a mess altogether, but even within urban governance, I think traffic management is number one, let's say, pain point for any citizen in any city, if you ask, within India. Like it could be tier 3, tier 4 city. It could be a large metro city which has existed forever. The problems are just the same. When we distill the problems, we were able to articulate the problem in this way that, in India, the problem is, and you guys are in US, so you guys have a better vantage point of this comparison, that people tend to not be responsible towards the society in India, right? We all want our rights, and we are the first ones to ask for our rights that, oh, I want free this, I want less tax, I want da. But when it comes to giving back to the society, we are nada, like we are just absolutely not there. And that as a feeling is not there, right? Like because and like we have a theory, we feel it's an anthropological reason. For 1,000 years we've been ruled over, so it can't be that within 60 years you can undo that 1,000 years of let's say alien attitude towards the people who are governing you, right? So we don't really feel we owe anything to the government, and that is why we don't really follow the law which is laid down. And that is why when we hit our streets, when we hit our roads, even if there is a minute of, let's say, inconvenience to me personally, I would go ahead and do things in a way which optimizes for a couple of minutes for me. But in as a society as a whole, we lose 200, 300 minutes just because of your one tiny decision, right? Now, when we distill that down to, let's say, traffic rules, we felt like, it's a massive, massive challenge that Indians don't want to follow the law, right? Any law all over the world, it's not just an Indian problem. Any law all over the world is followed only when there are two things in place, right? A, your probability of being caught once you commit a traffic infraction is high, which is absolutely zero in India, and in US it's just the contrary. And B, once you commit an infraction and you've been caught, then the deterrence in the fine, penalty, punishment, repercussion should be so high that you don't want to repeat it. This, to a limited extent, has been fixed in India. Like a 100 rupee challan or a fine or a ticket for not wearing a helmet has now been increased to 1,000 rupees. A no parking or illegal parking ticket has also been increased to 1,000 rupees. So there is a little bit of movement towards adherence, but it was not enough because you just don't have enough probability of you being caught. Everybody hits their roads thinking they will be able to navigate in a way that there are no cops or there are no static cameras, which brings me to the second point, right? Enforcement happens in two ways. Either there will be cops which will be standing at signals or at specific nodal points, or we will put static CCTV cameras in those points, expecting that whoever comes from here, and since these are nodal points, obviously more traffic goes through there, but it is still one snapshot of the traffic. Now, this brings us to a second hypothesis that we had and which got validated and vindicated, that traffic is not really disparate packets moving through the road ecosystem, right? Traffic is actually a connected waveform. If you create any kind of disruption here, the shock waves go everywhere. Now imagine this, these are two parallel streets in Bangalore. Now, if this two-lane street, there is an illegal parking here, right? There will be a 2-3 kilometer long jam in the next gully or next street, and there is no direct causation or let's say correlation attribution there. But this is what happens. This entire traffic is supposed to spill into this street. This street is already jammed. There is another road which is trying to go into this street. Now this will have a 2-3 kilometer long jam, and people are not able to find out why this is happening. So you need to be able to enforce traffic laws equally throughout the road ecosystem, not just at specific signals where you kick the can down the road to the next signal and expect the problem to solve. The solution, we actually created a platform which uses incentive-led crowdsourced vehicular dashcam data. What that means is we are sourcing vehicular dashcam data from everyday commuters, making citizens a part of this and using that intranodal data. See, people drive everywhere, right? And more people we get this data from, more orthogonality in terms of Bangalore's coverage we are able to establish. And then we essentially are able to collect data from between these nodes or between these signals where CCTVs are there or cops would stand, and complete our enforcement to the last mile of the city, which it should be, right? And then we are able to ensure that citizens are aware that anywhere I go, I am equally probable to be caught if I commit a traffic infraction. And that's what we've been able to establish and prove through the pilot that we did. Uh, I will quickly show you the kind of video, especially Virendra and Sudhakar, because you guys are joining for the first time, and then pause for quick questions if there are at all. Otherwise, we'll proceed with the pilot report. See, this is one street in Bangalore where you can see that, the government has done its job of creating a 80 feet wide road, but there is illegal parking on both sides. There is illegal hawking. There are folks who are not following traffic laws, not wearing helmet. There is garbage everywhere. Municipality needs to know where the garbage is so that they can actually do their job of collecting. There is illegal hawking. There is a cylinder on the road. So all of these issues, all of this, let's say, incidents and events that you see, all come with geospatial information, all come with temporal information, and this is crowdsourced. So you can essentially look at any, part of Bangalore at any given point of time and see what all, things are happening. Like this is something that we'll cover in our pilot presentation report as well, but still, like a truck carrying open concrete at 7 a.m. in the morning cannot be good for anybody's health, right? But at 7 a.m. in the morning at some random halli, you can't really expect a cop to show up also and enforce the laws. So this is precisely the kind of things, that we, via our platform, are able to solve. I'll take a quick pause. Any questions before I proceed with the report?
I think we're good. You can proceed.
All right.
Yeah.
So one very important thing, like, from, let's say, the pilot is tuned towards traffic, but the platform or the company itself is tuned towards visually mapping India's streets to the last mile, right? And the applications that we can build on top of that are far and wide. We've started with one very specific use case, which we love, like which we really want to be able to solve, and we think this is the right solution. How it works is very, very straightforward. Like, we don't want any change in behavior for the drivers. It's passive data collection. Data is collected by us, anonymized. So we anonymize the generator so that nobody needs to know that whether it was Raj data or Jayesh's data or Santosh's data for that matter. All that matters is that this is the evidence that this truck is carrying open goods, concrete. This is the number of that vehicle, and this was the place and this was the location. It doesn't matter whether this was Devendrappa's car or Chandan's car or anybody else's for that matter. So we anonymize it. Government reviews the analytics that we have created. So we've also created this tool, which is called, very appropriately, I think, the Karma tool. And you can basically choose which helmet or which particular infraction you want to see. Let's say if you want to see carrying goods on a two-wheeler, you can essentially go ahead and see. So this particular gentleman is carrying goods on a two-wheeler. This is still inside Bangalore, and the number and vehicle gets flagged, and also the time as well as the location and some details about the vehicle, so that you can verify that this is actually the vehicle that you are talking about. And you can choose to reject or issue a challan. Now this is the kind of system which goes in front of government folks to be able to issue these challans. To do so, once the fines are paid, we get paid, and we also pass on a fee incentive to the user. This is the incentive-led mechanism we were talking about. Applications, we've spoken about this. I'll quickly go over this. This is one such video. See, the pilot that we did with Bangalore Traffic Police, right? Like, the objective was very, very clear to begin with. How much of traffic infraction can we even catch? Second, what distinct types of infractions can we enforce through this vantage point? See, one thing to note is that what is unique is the vantage point itself, right? Like, no data for our country exists from this view, That is a street level view where you get to see what is on the roadside and what is on the road and what kind of trees grow here versus how we dangle our wires versus how we drive, right? So everything is new from, let's say, data perspective, right? Now, this is a very good example that I love. Like there is a signal coming up, so this guy will obviously try and make sure that he wears the helmet, as if all the accidents happen only on signal, right? Like it's so sad that we lose 180,000 folks every year. 80% of them, 75 to 80% of them are two-wheeler riders who don't really take security issues seriously. Uh, Again, and the third most important point with respect to the objective of the pilot was how different, how unique locations can we cover using this type of data to enforce traffic laws. So these were the three pillars on which the success of the pilot was dependent. Uh, First, it was the coverage, right? So with just 18 vehicles in a period of 30 days, we were essentially able to cover 42% of all primary roads of Bangalore. So this is our coverage. Now, whatever you see, this is all supposed to be green to red. As you can see, green is one dot. But since the frequency of our vehicles going over these roads was more, it turned from green to red. 42% of all primary roads were covered within a period of 30 days, and we are talking only about daytime data. We have not used nighttime data for this analysis at all. Secondary road coverage is also very impressive. Right? When I say primary, secondary, this is what it looks like. These are all primary roads of Bangalore. These are all secondary roads. So secondary roads look like these because they're supposed to connect primary roads with each other. And these are all the roads, right? Like imagine this is the kind of road ecosystem we have. It looks so dense, so nice that we have so many roads, but it is just a recipe for chaos. I mean, one just anecdotal fact that would blow your mind perhaps. We are the second largest road infra in the world, right? Ahead of China as well. And China has gone through massive urbanization, revamping of their infrastructure. And we are just shy of US. Like, we should be able to surpass US in next couple of years. India is geographically the smallest between India, US and China. Like we are 4 times lesser in size compared to US, and US is such an autophilic country. In spite of that, we have such a huge task in our hand because our road ecosystem is just very dense, very complicated, not governed, not disciplined at all. Because our cities and villages have existed forever. And as I was saying, our prosperity is so recent that we have not been able to, marry the two in a resonance form. So we were able to cover 10.4 percentage of all of this mess as well. With just 18 vehicles in 30 days, it was just very impressive. It was much better than what we imagined as well. Like we were also very pleasantly surprised. Uh, the results, we were able to generate almost $500,000 worth of infractions from just these 18 vehicles in this 30-day period. We were able to enforce 24 different kinds of event-led infractions and 4 document infractions or API infractions as we call it. Like the documents that you're supposed to have for you to drive on India's roads. The first and foremost, like the topmost infraction that we found was illegal parking. And this is illegal parking is irritant in 2 ways. Illegal parking is not just flouting of the law, but illegal parking is the number one reason why Bangalore's already choked infrastructure is further thrown into chaos because people park on the road and then it just leaves lesser road for others to travel. And it then again has a domino effect, and we end up being in massive gridlocks and log jams on a daily basis. Like this is not an exception, and that's why you don't find it in news anymore because it's just there every day. It is there. The next is obviously with missing helmet. People love to not wear helmets. Incidents and accidents happens to others, not to themselves. Non-HSRP is an initiative by Karnataka government to standardize the number plate so that readability becomes better and frauds and theft of vehicles is stopped. There are still so many people non-compliant with it. Missing side mirror is another safety feature. You need to have a side rear view mirror on your bike. Otherwise, people just take turns and there would be a four-wheeler, which we will look at that example again. What is very interesting, guys, is that we also found 1.8 lakh incidents, that's 180K incidents during this period, out of which only 15,614 were challan issuable. What that means is that we were able to verify the number plate the vehicle looked like as it said in the description from the RTO APIs that we integrated, so that we know that we are not issuing false positives here. Since it was pilot, we were even more prudent, and that's why we had put even human in the loop in this whole verification chain, that okay, you have to verify each number plate and is it matching its relevant details, and then only we put it in the final queue of issuance of challan. Any questions here? Otherwise, I'll move forward.
Yeah, I think Sudhakar here, Niman. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think you are able to follow. And I think the basic fundamental question I have: what is the source for all these things? How do you get a source? Where do you connect? So we are talking about
So,
getting the data. What is the source?
mhm. So source is crowdsource source, Sudhakar. So these are individuals or fleets who will put these cameras, who have put these cameras, and they are going about their job on a day-to-day basis, driving around. So specifically for this pilot, we had used a fleet of taxi union folks. So there's a taxi union in Bangalore which has around 2,000 cabs under their belt. 18 folks from that union we had chosen, and they basically put these cameras in their cabs, and they don't have any change in their lifestyle. They continue to drive as they were driving before. Once a week, our data ops guys basically swap data cards with them. So these are 250 GB of cards. Within a minute, they just flash their app, we scan it, we get a card, and we give a card back, and that's it. Voila, 250 GB of card data is exchanged in a matter of minutes. For them, nothing changes. We use HubSpots. For them, obviously, the hub is airport, and some of the guys live close to our office space as well. So our ops guy coordinates with them once a week where to drop the cards and where to collect it.
Okay.
And that's how it is happening.
So,
The reason for them to share is, twofold. A, dash cam is inherently extremely beneficial. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have been following news in India, but a lot of hit and run accidents, a lot of people trying to get away with it, and dash cams have started to come in as a very crucial piece of evidence in holding people accountable.
right.
Uh, and the problem and the mess in Bangalore is becoming at such a boiling point, Sudhakar, that people are always on the edge. Like a small fender bender also takes people off, and it leads to, proper hit and run or full chaos. Like there have been fights and people trying to break into each other's cars. So dashcam has become very, very important for accountability. In fact, I will show you in a later video. We got really lucky, Sudhakar. Like the first week, we introduced this camera to this fleet. One incident happened in such a way that the camera was able to rescue the driver. And then the demand for the product itself became viral. And there are so many people that who want it now. We will increase this number, but we just wanted to do a pilot in a more controlled fashion. So we did it with 18 vehicles.
Okay.
So that means we need to install dash cams, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like dash cams have to be bought by the driver and put it on the dash cam. So definitely that is there. We can't do the same thing with mobile phones. Mobile phones performance starts to get impacted. People then tend to, switch off such apps which impact their phones. Phones are the center of the universe for people. They can't store as much data. So 4K data, the kind of data that we saw is 1 hour of data is 9.8 GB. So you can't really expect that to be transmitted over internet right now because we are very data hungry at that stage. We want everything. And secondly, it's a lot of storage as well, right? Like, so 25 hours of driving would be 250 GB of data. Now, nobody has that kind of space on phones. So phones don't really work. You need a dedicated cam.
So do they get any benefit out of it? Like whoever is like why would anybody do randomly, like we pay something for them? Like what is the advantage for
Yes.
them?
So that like the only way that you can get any kind of behavior from it's a large group of people is by aligning incentives. That's what we are doing.
Okay.
We are aligning incentive with the government. So currently the government enforces traffic laws through CCTVs where they pay shit ton of money to install these cameras, then maintain these cameras, then generate analytics on top of it. Like anecdotally, if I tell you, in Bangalore to cover 1.5 to 2% of the entire road ecosystem, they put $90 million worth of cameras. Right, 600 crore rupees they gave off to some foreign company, Honeywell in that case. It doesn't cover the entire road network, and then it is only part of the problem because there will be breakage, there is somebody, some other government agency come up and dug the road, dug up all the cables, rats then infest and then they bite off the cables. Half of the CCTVs typically don't really work, and whenever they're working, then you have to collect that data, analyze it, and do so much more. Our proposition to the government is very straightforward there, that boss, don't pay us anything upfront. You are not the ones who have to invest into the capital. It's a crowdsourced mechanism. We get the data, we collect the data, we analyze it, and then the kind of tool I just showed you, right? This is the kind of tool we put it in front of them. That they should get very piecemeal information to just enforce challan, right? Nothing else. So they don't even get access to the full data. Only thing that they get is a video like this. This same video is used as an evidence to be sent to the infractor as well. And this is a piece of evidence. When, where, how, why, all of this information is given to them, and they essentially are able to issue challans through this, right? So no upfront payment for the government. And we are also aligning success with the government as well. We are telling them that you owe us money only when a challan gets paid, not when a challan is issued, right? So whenever it gets paid, we get paid. Bulk of that revenue goes to the government. A part of our revenue, we pass it on to the generator of the data itself, so that their incentive is also aligned. And for them, Sudhakar, it does two things, right? You do feel good when you partake in an activity to help your society, city, country, state, country get better. And obviously money is the king here. We live in a capitalistic world, and that has to be aligned for everybody. Does that answer your question, Viren, Sudhakar?
Yeah. That answered. So similarly, I think I was just recollecting my this thing. Like we have in US also. I think you are aware of there is something app called Waze.
Yeah.
How the like people who are drives, they basically say if some accident happened or some cop is there in front of, like they basically know, okay, there is a cop, there is an accident. So people would come to
Yeah.
know. I think the similar
Yes.
concept. I think you would have a camera and then you capture the data.
Yeah.
Similar,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
People.
Similar to that.
So source of data is just a people whoever had those.
Just the people.
Yeah.
Yes. Just that the nature of the data itself changes. Like Waze is more signals, and
Right.
ours is all about visual data.
So how often you basically get the data, collect the data, and how often you do that?
Once a week per driver.
Per driver. So every time, like that's like a man, like a man effort, right?
It's a
Somebody need to
it's a
go and
kiosk.
then collect the data from each
No,
driver.
so it's a kiosk we have established at an hub, which is the airport, and our guys there, whenever a driver comes and they're around there and they're, let's say 3-4 days have passed since their data collection, they just come in for a minute and exchange the data.
Gotcha.
See, from a steady state perspective, there are multiple ways to get this data, but we are very clear that for the first phase, we want to get the whole of data. And then we will deploy our own engines on the edge to determine that what data should be streamed, what data needs to be collected in a batch form later, what data is important, what data is not. Right now, we are data hungry,
Gotcha.
right? Like we want everything, right? And then we will see, how to start shredding that if needed at all.
Okay. Yeah, I think the data was good. I think go ahead with your presentation, then we'll talk about later. Yeah, what other questions?
So the results
One,
were very, very sorry, was there another question?
no. One more thing, that dash cam is like the free, right, to the cab owners, or they pay for it.
No, they have to pay for it, Raj, again, because then incentives don't align. If we give them free, like they won't care for it, they won't maintain it, they don't have incentives to share the data, to show up at least at the kiosk, to exchange the card. If you give anything for free, it has no value, right? So that just induces wrong behavior. They will one day will be under distress. Oh, why do I have to work? I'll just sell off this camera. Like, so what is the liability that holds them to this, right? Like, so they have to own it, they have to care for it, and they do care for it. Like, I'll show you, there are drivers who started to create reels using our camera, where it was such a serendipitous surprise. We had it planned for phase 2, but like the people are already creating reels. They use it as a safety device. They keep asking when there are, let's say, incidents with other drivers, that can we get this data? How do we get this data? So they care about all of this, and it's becoming an important part of their, let's say, tool of work, so to speak.
Okay.
The third pillar of our success was location, right? Now, as you can see here, like wherever our vehicles have traversed, wherever, right, we have been able to, find infractions everywhere, right? So you see this cavity where our roads, where our vehicles did not go. Obviously, you'll find a blank space. There is no data, but wherever data is there, we've been able to find infractions everywhere. So if you look at these are all the kind of 24 infractions that, excuse me, that we've been able to enforce during the pilot. And the onus of expanding the fleet is also on ChitraGupta. So again, we are not telling government to do anything. We just want to make sure that we get paid if they get paid. Once that is in place, we'll be able to expand our coverage in such a way that we should be able to cover 100% of Bangalore and beyond. But this to me is like the culmination of the whole reason why we started, that you have to be able to enforce traffic laws everywhere. You can't be selective about it. And our system is able to prove that you can actually enforce it everywhere. You just don't have to do it at, let's say, node A, node B, node C. Any questions with respect to this slide? Otherwise, I'll move forward.
No, one more thing that I think I asked this before also, but for Sudhakar and Virendra, can this data be shared to like multiple owners? Suppose I'm a cab driver, I'll give you the data, but I can give to somebody else, some other company also, right?
Oh, yes. So see, ultimately you can choose to give your data to anybody that you want, right? Like there is no restriction on that, because the way data fiduciary will work, Raj, is since you're the owner of the camera, the data first belongs to you. Now to get that data, to monetize that data, you are choosing to share that information with us, right? But once you share that data with us, then it's our data as well. That's the contract that we have. And then we use it to monetize it in n number of ways, traffic being one of them. And whenever we are monetizing it, we give you the data back. So it's like Uber, Ola, right? Like wherever demand is there, wherever, payout is more, wherever you are able to ensure multiple use cases and applications of the data, their payout will be more. And it's not like you can't choose to share the same data with more than one person, right? So there is no cap on that. The inherent moat there is the relationship. It is how easy it is. It is where the monetization is more, and it is where who has provided you the camera. Like let's say in phase 2, we want to be able to stream this data. So we even eliminate the friction. Let's say you have of going to the data swapping station once a week. You might have to go only once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, depending on the quality or kind of data that you collect. So all of those natural modes of starting early and nobody else doing it are inherently there. But theoretically, yes, you as a driver can choose to share it with anybody else also.
So the analytics which happens behind the scenes, like after collecting the data, is it like completely been automatically done, or like it is something like
It's a work in progress, Sudhakar. Like we've built the core product. Some of the, let's say, tickets that you see are completely automated. Some of them are human-led or human in the loop kind of situation. So see, to verify number plates, we put a human in the loop right now because you need a high 100% accuracy on that. So our systems essentially read the number plate. Now, sometimes around 20-30% of the time there is error there. 3 is construed to be E is construed to be 3 because the angle is such, the standardization is not there. So those corrections are done. But now let's say a human is already looking at it. And let's say we are looking at, let's say, a two-wheeler violation. If we are, let's say, catching them for not wearing a helmet, and if the human is reviewing it and they see the rear view mirror is also missing, then they add that infraction as well. And other way around, if the computer has caught let's say rear view mirror and they are missing HSRP as a catch in that infraction, then they can add it. So it will be human and automation ka good balance. But like see, just like with any other data problem, right? Like the more data we have, better the chances of our models becoming or improving over time. And we will continue to do that. So we expect, let's say, in a year from now, at least 5 to 10 infractions should be such where we just need very minimal human correctness or human review. And with time, we should be able to eliminate that altogether. Some of the other infractions are more tricky where they might need human assistance or say, let's say machine learning assistance, but human in the loop will be required, right? So we'll continue to compound on those use cases. Things like garbage, things like potholes are fairly easy. So those get automated faster. right? So, but traffic infractions because we are talking about dynamic motion of two vehicles, right? It's relative motion as well. So we may need human in the loop for longer, but it's all machine learning assisted, so human's job is fairly easy.
Yeah. So when it comes to the various kind of data, you're talking about various kind of scenarios. One is the traffic, one is the municipality. There are various departments involved. How would it be
Yeah.
like segregated? How would it be like okay? So this is like everybody is not really interested on each complete data, right? Some people only interested on like how would as a system is smart enough to separate those cases and send it to them.
So see, the system is built in a way where you have See, so let me break it down rather. Let me take a step back and then I'll come to the tool. The way we think about ourselves, Sudhakar, is foundationally in two aspects, right? One is the base and foundational product or the platform itself. The products or the platform's job is to collect all of this data, run our analytics engines on top of it, convert everything that we see visually into metadata, and then analytics on top of it. This is the base platform. Now, this is basically visual, or let's say, mapping visually collected data into queryable data, right? And now from here, we start building multiple applications on top of it. One application that we've started to, work with is traffic law enforcement. Another application is municipality incidents or events, where garbage is there, where infrastructure is broken, where what needs to be planned. Similarly, you can start thinking of other B2B use cases as well. Storefront verification needs to happen. So in India, a personal loan, unsecured personal loan is a 3-minute job now. Within 3 minutes, anybody with a proper documentation can get money in the bank. For a store, for a MSME, medium and small, micro and small medium enterprise, it is very difficult to get a loan. Somebody has to come into your store, verify that the store exists at this location, it's an open store or whatnot. We can do all of that through just simple passing of coordinates to us that, okay, Poonam hardware needs to exist on this location. Is it there? We just pass on those lat long into our system and give visual proof whether Poonam hardware exists. Now that's a vertical in itself. It's called storefront verification. Use cases there are for insurance, lending, payment, anybody who's onboarding a store for any regulatory work, right? So we start to build multiple applications on top of the core platform that we are building. And that's how, Jayesh and I have also designed the whole architecture that, okay, first and foremost, it's data collection, then analysis becomes the bedrock, and then we build more and more applications on top of the data that we have collected so far.
So currently it's not restricted to identifying only specific objects. So we are taking everything what you see visually as an object and building models which will be able to identify different types of objects. Now leveraging objects based on the application, something we will kind of enable for applications to kind of leverage our models, our platform to kind of build on top of the platform. So we are just kind of building multiple models, and we are also using some of the third parties. So YOLO is one which we have actively been using for all these use cases for traffic. But yeah, we are building our own models also, which would also take some of specific use cases, specific objects which are of interest depending on the application we would like to enable. So that's going to be our journey as we move forward.
So what core technologies you would be using in order to develop this whole interfaces and all?
So we are currently hosted on cloud, and basically most of the technology part, I would say we are using existing models like YOLO. We are also experimenting with other models for building some of the new image detections, and kind of improvising on OCR. So OCR is also one technology which we are using for text detection, especially reading the number plates and the accuracy of that. And for the UI part, we are using the standard, React.js, and we are also using Node.js actively. Python has been the core technology which we use most of the development for model development for the data science parts. Yeah, deep learning.
Okay.
And I think the technology, as we said, right, so we have our own platform now, and we are also kind of built on hybrid cloud. So it's not just AWS, so it's a mix of AWS, E2E. And as we evolve, I think definitely the technology is also evolving. So we'll try to be on the edge of the technology.
So
GCP also, yes. In our hybrid, the GCP E2E is a completely Indian avatar of these two. So we are touting a Make in India story. We want to give all our Make in India partners a chance as well. So that's also happening, and it's also like it's cheaper as well. So it makes a good GPU usage.
if I ask you like simple, like maybe the lame question. So what is the privacy thing? Usually, like everybody have the consent, like in US and all, privacy is the main thing, right? So how does it usually matters? Like when somebody you're shooting something, people can come back like, why you did you even think like this is not something like a government established or anything like that, right? So those things.
So see, Sudhakar, even in a hyper privacy concern space like US, you're still well within your rights to put a dash cam in your car and drive around. Whatever you capture is for you to use in for whatever means you want to. It's your dash cam, it's your car, it's your camera, you caught it. The only restriction which comes is that dash cams cannot be used on private properties. So if let's say you are entering my house, let's say Raj's house for that matter, with a big, ground, 10-acre ground in front of it. So you can't shoot in that 10-acre space once you come inside the gate if Raj requests you so. So in private space, Raj is well within his rights to, tell anybody to switch off a dash cam. In public space, nobody can tell you to do that. Secondly, we are taking these decisions, two fundamental decisions from this stage itself. We are anonymizing the generator itself, right? So the identity of who generated this data, we want to protect it. We want to obfuscate it from government or any agency for that matter. There should not be a track back saying Sudhakar got penalized and then he goes after Virendra saying that, tuta, right? Like, so we don't really want that. So that gets anonymized at the first stage itself. Secondly, what we are using as an identifier, Sudhakar, is a very conscious choice as well. We want to use number plate, which is a public identifier of all vehicles. As per law, you're supposed to display prominently that public identifier the minute you're on the road. Like, in fact, the other is true where if you block even a part of your number plate, right, that's a criminal offense because you're trying to hide a public identifier which is to be displayed all the time. So we are not doing facial recognitions very, very consciously. We will not be doing that. We are doing public identifier, identification, storefronts, billboards, waste, which has no identity. And for individual chalaning, it is going to be number plate. So that is also in the green. We have taken extensive legal opinions on this. I have myself read the Motor Vehicles Act and DPDP Act personally page to page. My previous job was also in a highly regulated environment where we were working in a fintech. So we had to be compliant with all of this and we continue to, take those ethos here as well. So data compliance and privacy is not going to be a challenge. Obviously, there will be some, smart ass lawyer who will try to, file a PIL and want to get some limelight. It's okay. Like that's part of the business. And I think we should be able to use that opportunity to make our case better. So we were prepared for that, but we've taken legal opinions enough that there's not a problem.
And I think we are also kind of removing the audio, right? When as part of the ingestion, we are trying to see if we don't want to also, kind of store
Yeah,
the
I
audio.
mean, so when people share data, they don't want their personal conversations which happen in the vehicles to also be shared. So we are scrubbing the videos at the source itself. We don't need it. Right? Like we don't want it. Right? So
Hey,
yeah,
hey
very
guys, I will drop off Raj, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks.
I think, Naman, I think, thank you so much. I think it is very good information. Like you guys
Mhm.
have been doing a very really good, like it's like a very good initiative, I would say. Right? It's
Yeah.
a way you guys have been. I think you guys have that kind of a motivation. I think it's some kind of something that like which could help to the society. I think that is the main motive, right? Ultimately.
Yes. Yes.
Many
Yes.
things have been happening in front of you, but people like ignore like people would really doesn't care. But I think this kind of initiative would motivate them, would definitely get awareness, that awareness would create for them. But I think when it comes to the incentives, so we are talking about
Yeah.
incentives. So how would like why would anybody like normally like this is like maybe incentives they get it, but they get like some financial benefit out of it, right? Unless like somebody would
Yes.
be interested, like you're buying a cam and you're putting it, and then you're just sharing the data. Ultimately, they're also their privacy. Their people would know like where he is traveling, like those kind of challenges would be there. I think he itself like sharing his data like varies at any point of time.
No, absolutely. Like we all share, we all mark it specifically on Google and say that this is my home, this is my work, this is where I'm going, right? Now, so sharing data once you are able to create a trust layer is not a challenge, Sudhakar, as we've seen it. Like I'll again harp back to, my previous startups example. It was essentially an SDK which would sit inside a Android mobile app, and we would ask for permission, obviously. Like the consent was that, do you want to share your SMS information with this company so that they can give you a loan? Right now, people in India institutionally did not have institutional loans. They would have loans from, let's say, people around them with very high interest rate, and typically you would fall into loan sharks trap. Institutional loans, banks also, or NBFCs, non-banking financial companies in India, would not have enough data about majority of the people to give them a loan. So we came up with a mechanism that, okay, you give access to your SMS data and mobile phone data, such as your location, blah, 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 and we will create a profile, risk profile for you basis this information. Now in India, RBI has done this fantastic thing that every financial transaction you do, it generates a physical footprint, digital physical footprint in form of an SMS that this is what transaction happened. Money in, money out, this is where you spent it, this is where it came from, right? That's all the information you need to judge somebody's financial ability, right? Whether they will repay, and then you have all of this psychological information about them with their usage of the phone, which gives you the second part of giving a loan, that do they have the intent to repay. Both of this we will be able to create proxy using mobile data. Within you giving permission, now within a minute we would generate a score and give it to the lender, and then you will get a loan. We were able to get at least easily 15 to 20 million so far extra people their first loans because of our product. Right now, that's also something that where we were able to establish trust. People shared their information. We've had no breach. There also we anonymize a lot of the data so that we don't use same customers' data in two places. We do all of that, right? But the point is, data sharing is the nature of today's existence, right? Now you need to, make sure that the incentives are in such a way that you get something by sharing your own data, right? Nobody should just, like, Google is taking all of your data, you get nada for it, nothing, right? Now, if you create a mechanism whereby sharing your own data in a safe way, you get something out of it, like no brainer. So you can't get away with, not sharing information. We are sharing it whether consciously or subconsciously today.
So far, like what is that right now? The prototypes. What are the like outcome of it about the current?
So, see, this presentation has been put in for, like, we've discussed it with Joint Commissioner of Police as well. Like it goes a long way, like how illegal parking, is a big menace and how we help solve it. We talk about deaths on our streets and how, we help solve it. So, we've created this whole presentation with very, very specific audience in mind, which is Bangalore, because that's where we did the pilot. Now the report is sitting in front of the Home Minister's office. The police has kind of given it a green thumbs up. We have to work with the second leg of the government now, which is the legislators, right? So we work with the consumers of our product, which is police, traffic cops, who will consume this product. And now we have to work with the decision makers to actually get the consumers of this product what they want and what they need to solve this. So I think we should be meeting with DK Shivkumar ji in anywhere between next couple of weeks to take this forward. But see, average gestation of a B2B deal in India, business to business, is 15 months, right? We expect with the government, with all the incentives aligned with such a huge upside for them, that they actually get to add to their revenue pipe, right? We expect that we'll need at least 12 to 18 months to be able to crack and get those first couple of cities in the bag. Now that the entire platform and product has been built out, and we've also proved it in one of the cities. So we have parallel conversations in multiple cities. We have with CM office in Goa, we have active conversation. We are opening up a conversation in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan as well now. We have multiple cities in Karnataka whom we have engaged at some level, but it's like any business development cycle, right? So that, like, we'll just have to have multiple bets, sow multiple seeds, and we'll see which one reaps the dividends faster.
Other than dash cams, do you have any other source of data you will be
Right now, no, but it's a very interesting question because the way we define ourselves, Sudhakar, if you ask us outside of the traffic pilot piece, and we are focused on traffic because that's what we've discussed so far, is we are a planetary scale sensory data company. We want to collect more and more sensory information and make it useful. That's the simplest way of explaining what ChitraGupta is, right? And that's why the name ChitraGupta also, right? Like we want to collect data and use it. That's what ChitraGupta does. Like it's all collection of all of the data, all karmic data, and then there are repercussions for it. So we want to collect more and more of sensory information. See, there are definite ideas on the table, Sudhakar, like we are right now on the surface trying to map visually. So perhaps we go in the air via drones as well and try to map the cities on a, let's say, level. Perhaps we go underground sensors as well. So we try to understand how our underground utilities are there. In India, that's such a chaos, Sudhakar. Anytime anybody is building a house in your street, be sure that your water will be cut off because they'll break water mains. Be sure they will cut off your internet because they will obviously dig through it. Be sure your phone lines are gone every time. And then they dig up the whole road which they have, placed now after so many years
don't
again to put on.
don't worry
So
about India. Like it happened here also. Like
no, it happens everywhere.
it happened.
These issues are everywhere. Just that they are more of a problem here
Yeah,
because of our density. Right? And like see, we like I said planetary scale, right? Like so our ambitions are not just for India, but we definitely want to start with India first problems. And if we are able to solve in India, then we can solve for the world. That adage just never gets old,
Definitely.
right? And especially from urban governance point of view, we can do even an iota of difference here, then we are good everywhere. So that's the intent, Sudhakar. Like we want
Yeah.
to augment more sources of data, but right now we are focused on this, very fantastic source of information. And the number of applications through this source also are just like too many, like very overwhelming. So we want to set a steady state cycle of one data source, close it, make it sustainable, and then start, doing other sources as well.
Nice. I think buying a dash cam, I think usually in US, like people buy a dash cam just like that, just for safety. I think this is
Yeah.
more like buying a dash cam which would return money to you.
Exactly. It's like the way I say it, Sudhakar, is like this is like dash cam which is on steroids, right? Like you buy it for your own safety and then it also pays. So that's what we want to be able to enable, right? I will quickly just go through the presentation. Like guys, please stop me if you have any questions. Just want to cover the depth of analysis that we've been able to generate. So see, like we talked about this coverage. Anywhere you go, we've been able to get challans. But specifically, what are the problems we can solve for Bangalore, right? Like, or for any city in India for that matter. See, parking is a huge problem in India. People park on the road. This is middle of the day. This peak office hours. Somebody's parked on a 2-lane road, and now there is a 2-kilometer jam behind this vehicle, right? Parking enforcement is yet another challenge, right? As you see, somebody created the infrastructure saying that, oh, I will create a multi-level parking facility, but nobody wants to park inside because outside is free for everyone. Why would you pay $10 also to go inside a building, park and spend another 5-10 minutes when you can just park on the road and just be on your way? So as part of the SLA of this particular gentleman, right, BBMP had promised them that no vehicle will be allowed to park in 500-meter radius, but they couldn't enforce it. Why? They don't have the mechanism to enforce it. How will you go everywhere all the time? You will have to employ so many people that it's just not practical, and they did not have the willpower also to do it. An automated system like ours is the solution. Funnily enough, BBMP wrote, or let's say Department of Urban Land Transport in Karnataka wrote a white paper where they called out something similar to our solution. A moving vehicle mounted with a video camera scanner which can read number plates. This is a 2019-2020 white paper, right? We had not read it. We read it when we were preparing this presentation. But this is exactly the solution that is needed, and this is exactly the solution that we are providing in a way that it is not a cost burden for the government, right? And as you can see here, like these are all the parking infractions that we were able to identify, and essentially will be able to enforce and ensure that there are no parking violations anywhere. These are all the parking clusters. that we can identify where infrastructure can be created. Like you will be surprised to know that parking market in India is just a $400 million market, whereas number of vehicles in India are 35 crores. 35 crore vehicles we have in India. 350 million. It's insane, right? And the parking market is so abysmally small only because of the fact that there are no ways to enforce illegal parking mechanisms. So we will be able to do that. Bangalore has seen a lot of, let's say, deadly incidents on the roads as well. India loses 1.8 lakh folks on our roads every year, right? Most of them are two-wheeler riders. As you can see, government is very serious about fixing it, but citizens have to comply as well. Now, this lady is taking her kids to the from school to home. Both of them are not wearing helmet. There is no side mirror. Well, like she'll take a turn and this car can just might as well bump into it because she took a turn which she was not supposed to take because she can't see behind. So all of these are violations that we should be able to capture. We are able to capture them everywhere across Bangalore. No helmet, missing side mirror, driving on the wrong side, triple riding, carrying goods while riding, right? And handling a mobile device while riding as well, right? So all of these get enforced through our system. People who are trying to obstruct or hide their number plates now, which is a criminal offense, they also get caught. Like, so see, ours is a dynamic vantage point, right? So a vehicle which is, let's say, hiding their number plate, but our vehicle when it is overtaking is essentially able to see that number plate as well, right? So we get it from multiple angles, multiple vantage points, and are able to capture and ensure that folks who are hiding their number plates as well actually have to show it and get penalized for it. HSRP is something which is high security registration plate that has been enforced in Bangalore. Supposed to go live, it's still not gone live. They've given another extension. But our pitch to them is whenever you make it mandatory, we are your solution to identify the folks who are not compliant. We discussed, we saw this video, such a painful video to watch. There's like cancer, like that cement blows in, there's a two-wheeler rider coming in, he breathes, he's breathing cancer in his lungs. Nothing else, there is nothing else which is happening here. They're supposed to cover it, so uncovered truck is a major
క్రికెట్
pollution
అయిపోయి
hazard and
చేస్తున్నాడు
they are supposed to cover it.
ఇండియాలోని
We will be able
ప్రాజెక్ట్
to ensure that they get penalized this time so that they cover it next
ఇన్వెస్ట్
time.
చేస్తున్నారు
There is no RUPD and LUPD. So we talked about deaths, right? Most of the deaths happen when it's a truck to two-wheeler collision. Now, government has come up with rules such as, so this is called an RUPD. This is a rear underrun protection device. It's a compulsory instrument in all trucks in India now. Wherever it is missing, it's a 10,000 rupee challan.
డేటా క్యాప్చర్ చేసి
Similarly, there is an LUPD, lateral
దాంతో
under
ఆ
protection
డేటా అంతా
device,
పోలీసు వాళ్ళు
10,000 rupee challan. So
తీసుకుంటారు వీళ్ళకి చలాన్
we
ఇవ్వాలా
essentially will be
డేటా
able to enforce laws on even such errant drivers as well. And you know what? The
కెమెరా ఉన్నాయి
irony is
బట్
this particular vehicle has its insurance, its RC, its fitness, its permit, all of that in order. Only thing that is not being enforced, those are
ఏంటంటే
the
మొత్తం
laws
ఇవన్నీ
that were
రోడ్
founded in
వెహికల్స్
2002
నువ్వు
exactly,
ఉన్నావు
right?
కెమెరా
So
తీసుకున్నా
that again just proves the
అలా కెమెరా
hypothesis that we step
వాళ్ళకి
into
ఇన్సెంటివ్స్
with, that you need to ensure
టికెట్
that there is
టికెట్ వచ్చింది
enforcement
అనుకో నువ్వు
so that there
తెలిసిన
is rule for it.
వీడియో
That
టికెట్
So
vehicle was from Bangalore
ఆ టికెట్
or
డబ్బులు పే
from other
చేస్తాను
state?
నీకు ఇన్సెంటివ్ వస్తుంది
no, Karnataka only.
Okay.
K420035.
What if the vehicle is from other state?
It
ప్రతి
doesn't matter.
ప్రతి
RTOs have
దానికి మొత్తం
jurisdiction to issue challan on any vehicle which
ఏదైనా
has Indian
చలాన్
number.
గా ఇష్యూ చేస్తే దాని డబ్బులు మళ్ళీ
So
ఇన్సెంటివ్
because the challan will go to that is the address to the state.
To that state, to that mobile number, and it can be picked up by anybody. They are, so see, one of the things that we're trying to fix, Raj, right now is as
దానికి
part of our
ఇన్వెస్టర్స్
solution, we
కావాలి
said that, okay, repayment is also a big problem, right? So they have very clunky websites where you can go and repay. We are trying to unify that in an app as well, that, okay, you repay through us and it just becomes easier. So that's part of our proposition. That's why today repayment rate of challans in India is just 32%. At the end of any calendar year. So that's, if let's say an example, in 2023 we raised 10,000 crores worth of challans, 3,200 crore got repaid by January.
అక్షు
The number keeps increasing as there are incidents, but this is how
వచ్చేమన్నా
this
ఆయన
works.
నీకు పని లేదు
So you can issue challans on any
ఎందుకు
number in India,
పంపించావు
doesn't
తెలియదు
matter,
అలా ఇలా ఎందుకు
but
పంపిస్తే
the issuing authorities where you're supposed to pay, which is
త్వరగా
something
చేస్తాడు వేరే
which can be fixed. I'll move forward.
Yeah.
అందరూ అదే
So see,
One
pollution
way or
is another
another.
piece
And
which
also
can be
understand
fixed. So we also check for all vehicles through documents whether their pollution under check certificate is valid or not. Then see, it's not just traffic violations, right? It's also the municipal violations which are a huge problem, right? So lot of times traffic gets clogged up because there's a massive pothole on the road. There's only one lane which is motorable, or not even that. You have to go really slowly. So your potholes, your garbage, your open drains, your encroachments are all flagged, and this can potentially be flagged to like BBMP, like municipality. So our proposal to Goa government is a combined proposal, not just traffic. It is everything, municipality issues as well as traffic issues, and that's what we are able to illustrate here as well. Not just that. Okay. I wanted to show you just one more slide, guys. Just 1 minute. Meanwhile, if there are any questions, please do let us know. We like happy to address. Yes. So even criminal activities, like see, we talked about municipality issues, traffic issues, but what about crime? Even all of that kind of gets factored in a big way using this vantage point and using this platform. Like this guy is completely blocking off one entire road just because he has a road rage. You get to see their number plate. You can more of effectively catch them. We even caught something very nefarious. There was a guy wielding a sword running around at 1 a.m. From some streets in Bangalore. We were able to capture them as well. So the idea is that we essentially create accountability on both sides, on governance and citizens alike, to enforce and follow laws. And this was the success of the pilot. Any questions, guys? I think I have taken more than enough time.
So far, so good.
Yeah,
All right.
good.
Perfect. Raj, Amit, anything from your end?
No, I'm good. I'm good. We're good. I'm good.
Naman, one quick question.
Anji, yes, please.
See again, it's been like more than a month, like last we spoke, right? So any new progress, any new new thing
So,
happened after that?
yeah, Amit, the first and most important thing that happened was we were able to culminate the whole pilot. We were able to present it to Joint Commissioner of